Is Chevis Watson here? Chevis Watson?
David Butts. I'm in District 1. And, yeah, talking about misleading, I think probably this petition is totally misleading. I see it as a creature of a group basically from this conservative think tank called Texas Public Policy Foundation. I think it's basically designed to sort of set the city up so that it can be attacked, probably, as Ms. Troxclair did, run down to the state legislature at the end of the street here, the Reichstag, and basically, you know, launch an attack on the city to try to undermine it because they didn't adopt some sort of cost savings. This is funded by dark money, totally, and, you know, it's hidden, and we'll never know who gave this money or where it came from, unless they choose to reveal it, of course. And I welcome the opportunity to have a campaign on this issue. I really do. I'm reminded of the Uber campaign, and I think that this will be very entertaining, to say the least. So I would strongly urge you to put it on the ballot. However you choose to do is up to you. We'll defeat it either way, quite honestly. Of course, they'll try to pour a lot of dark money in, but we'll point that out very clearly. So once again, you understand, I think every one of you understand exactly what this is. It's a spear aimed at the city of Austin by a group of extreme conservatives who are out to undermine this city. They do not like this city. They resent this city. And the rot starts at the top, at the governor's office, and goes down. So basically, if we're going to have an election, we'll have an election. Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a question, Mr.
Yes,
Butts.
Councilor Garza. Mr. Butts?
Mr. Butts.
Yes.
I have a question. I guess following the line of question the mayor was asking, I guess not knowing campaigns and PACs and stuff, I thought that any kind of, explain the dark money part. I thought any kind of PAC usually files. So do they choose to file a certain kind of PAC where they don't have to disclose the donors?
I'm sorry.
That's it.
There was a PAC, actually a 501(c) called Austin Civic Future, or Civic Future, I think, that's been on file. It's gone through transition of leaders or members of this PAC, this foundation, I shouldn't call it. It's not a PAC. It's able to basically take money from all kinds of sources without reporting where the money came from. And that money, that $137,000 that the mayor referenced, was passed on to Mr. Searle's PAC and spent to basically generate this petition. Who it came from, I can guess almost, but basically that's how it operates. The people that are the board of directors, one was once the president of the Young Americans for Prosperity. And if that sounds vaguely familiar to the Koch brothers, you'd probably be right about that. And the others are basically involved with TPP, Texas Public Policy Foundation front groups, who, you know, basically don't like the city of Austin. And I doubt they have our best intentions, if I had to guess.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So, Mr. Butts, in response to Councilmember Garza's question, I think what we're hearing is that the reporting, such that our laws are right now, they can report that the money came from this foundation, but the foundation or group does not have to report who gave to them. So that's what we're seeing in terms of dark money. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and we also have a situation where there's been a request, or multiple people have requested that that the groups involved tell us who gave the money, and they've refused to date. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so the calls for transparency from that group seems kind of ironic to me, that the calls for transparency to the voters, so the voters understand what's going on, but at the same time not being transparent with the voters in terms of who's paying for it.
Well, I think that just is indicative of their intentions, honestly.
A more complete answer, an additional to make the complete answer, is when we passed our ethics ordinance requiring this, we had a section that concerned covered transactions. And covered transactions were a contribution that was made to a 501c4 for the purpose of being given to a PAC that would then be spent. And under city ordinances, a contribution that was made to a 501c4 for that purpose by a person, that person needs to be disclosed by the person, by the 501c4. So it's still an outstanding question as to whether or not the 501c4 in this case took any money from anybody who knew that the money they were giving was going to be used in this PAC campaign, in which case under our ordinances they would be required to report. But in fairness to these folks, they're not the only ones that are doing it. There are other organizations in our city right now also participated on the other ballot measure that are taking secret money and not disclosing who gave that money as well. So it's a growing issue in our city.
But I guess where I was going, I'm sorry, Councilor Houston, just along these lines, is if you want to be transparent, there is an avenue to do that. There's a way to file a PAC where you're required to show the individual donors. There's a way to do that.
Certainly they could do that if they wanted to. Ms. Houston.
Thank you. And I guess this is a question for Mr. Butts or the mayor or Councilmember Kitchen. 30-some thousand people signed a petition. Are we saying that because we don't know where the money came from that the petitions are invalid or the people are invalid? I don't hear any concerns about people being illegal. We're focusing on where the money came from, and the petition is still valid, right?
Yes, it's valid.
30-some thousand registered voters said, we need an efficiency audit. So that's what I need to focus on. The other part of what I need to focus on is it something wrong with having an efficiency audit? I mean, are we not paying attention to the fact that there's things in any organization that could be different, more creative, done more efficiently, save some money? I'm for that because the property tax owners, and I keep saying that in District 1, are saying you can't keep coming to us, City of Austin, to pay all these things. So if we could find some efficiencies in this organization, wouldn't that be beneficial to the public?
Well, of course it would, but of course the question is, what would the council choose to adopt? If they come back and say, well, you need to sell off the Austin Energy, or you need to basically go from a pension fund to a 401k for your employees and let them go out on the market, they'll come up with all kinds of reasons and rationales why you need to make trimmings financially, some of which might have validity and some which will not. If you choose not to do it, then people will go to the Capitol, or they'll use it as a campaign issue, which is exactly what I think this is partly directed at. Not for this campaign per se, but in the future, to basically say that the council or this council member has failed to make these savings, and so therefore, you need to vote them out. So it's a political tool as much as it is anything else. And, the fact is, you can get signatures on just about any petition in this city you want to. That's true. Now, they were paying an extraordinary amount of money to get those signatures that they got. But,
So I guess those are a lot of assertions. I don't know. I'm not a political being.
Right.
But those are some assertions. My thing is, how do we make sure that we're operating as efficiently as we can? And we've had conversation today and at the work session about audits that have come through our wonderful program audit that nothing happens. We lose money.
That's a decision the council has to make.
Well, but prior councils haven't made it, and we're hopeful that this council this city manager will look at that and say, okay, this is something we've got to do, and we've got to do something about this. And I don't know that any of that other stuff that you're talking about is true. I happen to want to have an efficiency study so
I
that
assure
we
you
can.
the dark money is true.
Well, but I'm talking about not the money. I'm talking about the outcome. I'm talking about the product.
Well-
And so when you do that, you obfuscate what the real issue is for me. That's all I
don't.
need to say.
I can just tell you that right now. The real issue is how this is being used as a political tool.
Those are all the speakers that we have. Anybody else signed up to speak? Sponge? I didn't have you, but clerk will note that. Go ahead.
Oh, are you one of the extreme conservatives that are behind this petition?
Yes, I consider conserving our planet Earth being very conservative, and I put myself